to watch some boxing, I wanted to watch Keyshawn Davis, knock somebody out. The thing is, it was canceled, and before that, before the fight was even canceled, I was actually making a video about Keyshawn and about American boxing, and I was about to say Keyshawn was really the only guy actually that I had hoping for the future, right? That he was gonna put American boxing back in the map, on the map, and give us something to cheer for, give us something to look forward to, but I had my suspicions because of the way he was talking about Tank. Tank Davis, a guy that's been called out by Shakur Stevenson for the longest, people just don't. Some people don't want to see that fight, right? And then you got Keyshawn, who I know is young. I know he's an up and comer. I know he's not. I guess you could say he's not there yet, but he should be calling them out as well, in my opinion. In my personal opinion, you got to call those guys out. And I had to compare, but I remember Canelo when he was first starting off. He was very young, and at the time, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Was making a name for himself, and it was popular. He was a popular boxer in the Mexican scene. Some people had their doubts at the time that he was as good as his father, right? But Canelo was younger, and he was just getting started at the time. And Julio, Jr., being, the son of a legend, was already, a popular name in boxing. He was already known. He was already had an established career, and was really on his way to get into big fights. And Canelo, not so much. Canelo, nobody knew who he was. I was keeping up with him because, I just liked the way he fought. I just liked his style. And but anyways, my point is, even way back then at that time, Canelo was calling out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? He was very disrespectful to him. Even though Canelo Alvarez knew that Julio Cesar Chavez was the son of a legend, he was an established name in the Mexican boxing scene. Why? Because he's the son of a legend, right? Now, what did Canelo say? He said, either me or this guy that I just beat, either of us could beat Julio. Either of us could beat Junior. We fight way better than that guy. That's what he said. Now, that was disrespectful, and I remember at the time some people were mad. They're like, oh, you can't say that about Julio. There's hierarchies or whatever you call it. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the shit I'm looking for. Be disrespectful. Call out motherfuckers. Now, the thing about Keyshawn is that the interview he had, I don't know what it was, a cigar talk or whatever the fuck it was. I don't know what interviewer it was, but he started glazing Tank Davis. Talking about Tank Davis is at the top. He's up there with Canelo. He's up there with, which was hilarious. He's up there with Usyk. He's up there with Inoue and them. And I'm like, bro, like, how do you see that? How do you think Tank doesn't sell more than Canelo? He doesn't sell not even the same as Canelo. You know what I mean? And not even Canelo. Like just anybody in boxing right now outsells Tank. You know, so what about accomplishments? The accomplishments for Tank, they're not even there. You know, he's not there in accomplishments either. You know, who has he beat? Has he beaten any of the guys that he was supposed to beat? He didn't fight Shakur. He didn't fight Loma. Like, oh, he tried. He tried to fight Loma when he was about to retire. And Tank heard that he was about to retire. He was like, oh, I want to fight you now. It's like, nah, bro. When he had called you out, when he wanted to make the fight, you didn't want to make it. Like 4 years earlier, he wanted to make the fight, and you said no. Now, Tank is struggling to figure out what the fuck he's going to do. Because now he's stuck trying to fight a rematch with Roach. And it's like, bro, you had the chance to fight all of these fighters, and you didn't take none of them. You could have fought Devin. Now he's too big. You could have fought Ryan. You fought Ryan, but everybody wanted to fight you when it was time to fight. But now that they outgrew you, now what? Now what is Tank gonna do? You know, so Keyshawn glazing Tank, you know, it's not a good sign for me. It doesn't show me a warrior spirit. You know, and I had my doubts when I saw that interview. I was like, man, maybe Keyshawn ain't what's up. Maybe Keyshawn is not the guy. Because I like the Keyshawn to talk shit. I like the Keyshawn that was talking shit to Abdullah Mason. And said, let's do it now. That's what gave me hope for the future. Not this fucking glazing shit. Like, bro, like, leave that to the commentators that like to glaze people. They like the gay shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a fighter. You gotta fight. You gotta call people out. You gotta talk shit. You gotta ask for the fights. And if they don't want to give you the fights, then you just follow them. Like what's his face? Let's go, champ. What do we say? Let's go, champ. Like that guy. When he was trying to fight Klitschko, one of the Klitschkos. You know, be on that type of shit, bro. Like, we need to get back to that. Like, all of this, it just doesn't make any sense to me, dude. Like, it's killing American boxing, right? So that's what I was gonna make my video about. But then I had to stop it because it turns out that Keyshawn didn't make weight. So it was gonna be a light tap. But now that Keyshawn ain't even making weight, and not only that, he's like, what is it, like 4 pounds above? And not only that, bro, but you're the champion, bro. You're the champion. You're the guy. You're the guy. And at the time, I was like, all right, he's gonna pay. You know, he's gonna pay a fine or whatever. And after he pays the fine, the fight's gonna continue. We're still gonna get the fight. You know, it's not going to be as good as I want it to be. It's not going to be, but whatever, you know. And the thing is, you could see this as many things. Maybe he was trying to get an advantage, but then you start thinking, why would you want to get an advantage over a guy who hasn't fought in like a year or two? And he still made weight, and you did it. Like, the fucking embarrassment, bro. Like, damn it, bro. Just thinking about that shit, bro. Like, you're not embarrassed that you sold out a fucking stadium. You sold out a fucking stadium. People paid money to come see you. Your people. And you're not embarrassed? Shit, bro. Like, I don't understand what these fighters are on, what these young fighters are on. This generation of boxers, these Gen Zers. I don't understand what they're fighting for. You know, yeah, it's for money, but bro, like nobody's gonna wanna invest in something that isn't sure. You know, something that's flip floppy. You know what I mean? If something is volatile, if something isn't doesn't follow a pattern, if you're not like consistent, that's the word I was looking for. Consistent. If you're not consistent with your shit, bro, nobody's gonna want to invest on you. And I personally think they should not invest on shit like that. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it gets me to think about American boxing in general. How, like, Teofimo's not fighting either. Teofimo got called out by Devin Haney. Shout out to Devin Haney for calling people out. And yeah, Devin Haney got his ass beat, sure. But who cares? What I care is that Devin Haney is one of the only ones that's calling people out. One of the only ones that still wants to fight. You know, Teofimo's like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, like it doesn't make sense to me. And at some point, I get it. At a certain point, I understand why you don't want to fight someone like Tio, because someone like Devin. Well, you don't want to fight someone like Devin, right? And it's because Devin is boring, and Devin is just gonna show up to run around, right? And nobody wants to. You know, I wouldn't want to fight someone like that. You know, because you train, you know, for however many months you train. You know, you show up to the fight, and the other guy's not even throwing punches. He's just running around playing tag. And it's like, bro, like, you know, what part of my training requires me to chase a fucking chicken, bro? Like, it doesn't, like, what is this, Rocky 1? Like, that's Rocky 1 or Rocky 2? I forgot which one it was. But it's fucking crazy, dude. Now, I understand that part. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody wants to pay for that shit. And in my opinion, they should boycott that type of fighter, period. You know, it's my opinion. No running rule, right? Shout out to Showbiz. And he's trying to push a no running rule. But unfortunately, you know, what I got to say about that is that that's not going to happen. You know, and I get it. It's commendable from Showbiz and from the War Room, his people, that they want to push this, right? Because it's true. You don't want the sport to be full of these types of fighters that just run around and play tag all day. You don't want that to happen. This is not the sweet science. The sweet science, there has to be some punching involved. There has to be violence involved. That's why we pay. That's why we want to see boxing. It's because we want to see violence. We want to see people knocked out. Okay. If you take away the violence, it's like playing basketball without any points, or without any slam dunks, or shit like that. You understand that? You get how that would kill the sport of basketball? You know what I mean? That's what it's like. That's the equivalent. Of course, these people are getting hurt or whatever, but then if they don't want to get hurt, and if you don't want to see them get hurt, don't watch boxing. Go watch Taekwondo or the tag. There's actually a league where people play tag. I'm serious. There's a league where people play tag. There's obstacles and shit. Yeah, go look at that. But don't kill boxing because you want to see certain people win and others don't. Because that's what it is. And that's why I think this petition list that Showbiz is trying to push forward is not going to work. It's not going to work because, first of all, the system is built to protect certain fighters. And if they take away certain things, it's like, for example, for example, they put, and the government is very slick about certain things, about how do they target certain people, right? And, like, for example, if they know that a certain population likes certain drug, let's say it's weed, or let's say it's I don't know, some type of alcohol. Who cares? My point is, let's say the Hispanics in this community like a Modelo. Let's just say that. And now they're gonna pass a law, and they're gonna say anybody who likes Modelo has to pay a $2,000 fine or whatever, some shit like that. Just 200. They say $200 fine. A yearly $200 fine if they want to drink Modelo, right? Or better yet, we're just gonna arrest them and start questioning them. And you're saying now the rule is Modelo. It has nothing to do with Hispanics. No, I don't hate Hispanics. It's just it's the law. It's the law, right? But you're targeting that demographic by making up certain rules that you know are going to affect that people, right? Now, when it comes to the no running rule, some people believe that it's a black thing, that running is a black thing. Okay, some people believe that. Now, let me remind you that one of the runners that made this rule happen was Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia did not want to engage against Rolly Romero after he got hit in that fight. He got scared and he started running. He started fighting like a bitch. Ryan Garcia is not black. So this is not a black thing or a white thing or a Mexican thing. This is a thing that's going to save boxing. American boxing in particular, because this is where the problem lies in. It's in American boxing. It's an American boxing problem. All of these fighters that I'm talking shit about today, they're American boxers. This is where the problem lies. But the thing is that, like the example I just made with the Modelo, like the example that I made with that, these rules are in place to protect certain American fighters. And they're unspoken rules. So, judging by that, I know for a fact the no running rule is not going to go into effect ever, because it's the only thing they have to win against a foreign fighter that comes from a certain particular place that I'm not going to mention. But you guys know what I'm talking about. If you listen to some of my videos, you know who I'm talking about. It's the only thing they have to beat them. And you think they're gonna let go of that trump card? You think they're gonna let go of that card? They're not. Imagine if Devin Haney wasn't allowed to run against any of the fighters that he's gonna have to face in the next couple of fights. Because Teofimo was probably the easiest one. That's why he called him out. But there's other big dogs in that division that he's not going to beat. And especially if there's a no running rule in effect. The fact that he's allowed to move around so much is the only thing that's keeping him in boxing, bro. It's the only thing. You think they're going to do that to Devin? They wanted him to win against Ryan, bro. He was the one. He was the favorite one. He was going to be the poster boy for boxing. but Ryan pulled a fast one on them. You know, and it's just, and I'm not saying anybody's a good guy or a bad guy. I'm just letting you know how things work and how, you know, it's pretty much dog eat dog. But what I'm trying to tell you is the no running rule is not going to happen. I'm predicting it right now. The no running rule that Showbiz is trying to push forward is not going to go into effect because it's the only thing they have to protect the American boxers. It's the only thing they have. I mean, what are they going to do if they put that into effect? It's over. It's over for most American boxers. It's over for Shakur. It's over for Devin. It's over for all of your stars, all of the American stars. It's over for them. It's the only way it's the only chance they had. It's the only chance they had. Especially now. You think they're going to do that to the Americans when they control boxing? You think they're going to do that? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They have all the keys. They have all the rule books. They control this shit. They're not going to give foreign fighters the upper hand by putting in this rule. This is one of the only things they have is to get these fighters and tell them all you have to do is survive, and we'll give you the fight if you survive. And this is why our fighters fight the way they do, because they were bred to fight this way. They were made when you are born into a system that babies you, into a system that favors you over other fighters, you develop a weak style, a style that requires you to run around like a bitch. That is why our fighters fight the way they do. Now, if you look at Mexican fighters, and I hate to compare, but that's what I'm comparing it to, because it's just the contrasts between them. If you look at the Mexican fighters, they were born in the opposite of privilege and the opposite of a system that babies them. They were born into chaos. They were born into the type of system where you have to go to another country on your own with your own money. You're hungry, right? Nobody's, sponsoring you. Maybe some people will sponsor you, some people won't. You're on your own. And not only that, you have to go abroad to another country, be it the U.S., be it Japan, be it England, which is those are the three main ones where they usually travel to. You don't have home court advantage. They're going to try to steal it from you. The people are not rooting for you. You don't have the gloves that you like. You don't have the ring advantage. Nothing is on your side. You have to knock them out. Because if you don't knock them out, they're not going to give it to you. Now, you see what happens when a style is developed like that, with a handicap, developed from a handicap, from being from nothing. The difference between the two styles comes from the environments that they were brought up in. And this is why we have the runners, because we encourage that. We tell them that. Just survive and we'll give it to you. And so much to the point to where culturally we remember Medrick Taylor. And we're like, oh, Medrick Taylor could have won that fight if the ref would have gave it to him. Think about the mentality behind that. The bitch-like mentality you have to even think that way. When you look at Medrick Taylor's face and you look at Chavez's face, who do you think was winning that fight, man? What? Because he was doing pity pat shots on Chavez, and Chavez was kind of blocking most of them. And even when he didn't block them, he was jamming the force behind them, which is something some people don't know how to do it. Bro, it's crazy. People actually wanted the ref to win the fight for Metro. It's not his job to do that. It's not his job to do the right thing, even because some people say, "Oh, he has to do the right thing." No, he don't have to do the right thing, because the right thing or the wrong thing changes depending on what perspective you're in. If for the Mexicans, the right thing is for the Mexicans to win, and for the Americans, the right thing is for the American the Mexican to win. Or actually, what I'm confused, but you get what I'm saying. It's the perspectives change. So the ref can't be doing no right or wrong. His job is to keep the fighters safe and make sure nobody dies. Stop the fights if he sees that somebody isn't responding. It's not his job to help people win. You know, so that's what I mean when I say, you know, that this is why these fighters are the way they are. This is why Keyshawn missed weight and he didn't give a fuck. It was like, you know, and I don't even know what happened behind the scenes, because usually they pay a fine and the fight continues, which would have been the best way to go. Is the least embarrassing way to go, because at least the people that paid to see you are gonna get to see you. But now, since the fight is canceled for whatever reason, because if it's because you didn't pay, you are a piece of shit, my man. You are a piece of shit, straight up. And I know you don't give a fuck about your people. That's the thing. And look at the difference between a Mexican fighter and an American fighter. Canelo pays so that or made a deal with Televisa so that his people in Mexico get his fights for free. Do you think any American boxer would do that shit? Do you think they have? I mean, even asking that question is hilarious to me, because Americans in general don't think that way. It wouldn't even cross their minds, because an American mind is just different. It's about making money. Shit, look at what happened to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, he was in a show where they were asking him how much money he was gonna make for the Canelo fight, and he said a low bar number, right, which is partly a lie. And the thing is, like, who are you to ask another man how much he's gonna make or how much he's making? That's the type of shit you don't do. Some people just straight up don't have culture, like real culture. Because people talk about, oh, the culture, we're doing it for the culture. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about, like, respect. I'm talking about shit you just don't ask, shit you just don't do. Sometimes I feel like they gave me a rule book that nobody else got. You know, and I feel like maybe Terrence, he felt the same way. He was like, man, fuck this. I'm not even gonna take you seriously for asking that question. I don't understand this American culture. I really don't. The whole how much you making, or how much are your shoes? How much is your shirt? Like, you know, how much is your watch? How much is your pants? You know, how much is your shirt? And shit like that. Like that type of shit, it bothers me. You know, and some people be like, "Oh, it's you just jealous." You know, it's not. It's not that. It's not that I'm jealous. It's that some of the shit that they say cost 1,000 or 50,000 or whatever the fuck type of money. It looks like shit. It looks like shit. Look at Devin. Devin got all the money in the world, and he looks like shit. He looks like shit. He don't know what kind of shoes to buy. He don't know what clothes to buy. So motherfuckers, that's the thing. Is like motherfuckers think that expensive means that you got style, and there's a difference between style and just expensive shit. I mean, look at Devin, bro. And I'm not hating on him or anything. I'm pretty sure there's some people that think that shit looks cool. I mean, look at what's his face, Jaden Smith. Dude has all the money in the world, and he has pillows on his head, bro. Pillows, and people call that fashion. You know what I mean? It like people if you have to explain to people what brand you have on and how much it costs, that means you don't have style. That means that's not fashion, bro. That's you having to explain why this looks good. That bro, come on. It's like you trying to explain the joke. You explain the joke, then it's not that funny. But the thing is, I run into motherfuckers like that all the time, where it's like, well, this was $1,000. It's like, bro, that's a T-shirt. That's straight up a fucking T-shirt. You paid that much for that shit? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me, bro. And that's the type of culture that Terrence Crawford is not part of, and that is what I like about Terrence Crawford. He's not like most people, you know. Um, and I feel like that's why he answered the way he answered, and he gave him a bogus number. I don't believe that he's gonna get paid that much. I think he's gonna get paid more than that. But but yeah, man, some of the most valuable things in my life personally, I could tell you, were free. You know, they were either a gift from someone, a person, or a gift from God. You know, it's not something I bought myself. Why? Because these objects, like for example, a necklace, I actually have one right here. Um, it was a gift, and I cherish it specifically because it was a gift from someone that I believe was special and still is special to me. It's much more special than if I just go walk into a store and say, how much is this? You know, and this much has this many diamonds. How many children died trying to mine this diamond? 50,000. Oh, that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like I sometimes I look at the world sometimes and I'm like, bro, I might be an alien, bro. I might be from some motherfucking planet that isn't as fucked up as this one. But anyways, that's the state of American boxing. Uh, so yeah, so Canelo says that he's gonna retire. You know, in 5 fights, he's gonna retire with Turkey. I'm pretty sure it's because Turkey paid him, you know, very well, and he's gonna continue to pay him good. He also made a contract with him, right? And he remade the contract after he left. Um, so you got to give it up for Canelo because his negotiation tactics are pretty good, you know. And I mean, Jake Paul probably hates him right now, and he does. He made like a couple of videos talking shit about Canelo. But he got played, man. He got played good too, because Canelo is he's pretty much set for life and his kids are set for life, and it's like it's all because of the moves he made, in boxing. Um, but getting back to the boxing and getting back to what's important to us, which is these next couple of fights. Um, you know, what's in it for us? What are we gonna get here? Because the way he's talking, he's saying that he doesn't have to fight for legacy or for money, right? And obviously he's saying that he doesn't need those things because he feels like his legacy's already set, and it's true. But I fear that by him saying this means that he's not going to fight the fights that we want in this next couple of fights. This is going to be his retirement tour. And if you know anything, by Canelo is that he does kind of follow the blueprint of Mayweather. Okay, he Mayweather is, in my personal opinion, is one of the guys he copies the most. Um, and he's really taking that Mayweather thing to the next level. I mean, right now he's way more richer than Mayweather, um, at least from what I believe, and he's taking it to the next level in that sense. But like Mayweather, and this is the negative of this Mayweather era and this Mayweather mentality. He's getting to the point of his retirement tour, so to speak. And what did Mayweather do in his last four fights? Is he fought fighters that nobody asked him to fight, nobody wanted him to fight. People were wanting him to fight Keith. People wanted him to fight, other fighters in general. But he decided to fight Andre Berto, Conor McGregor, and a lot of these fights that nobody asked for, and I feel like that's what Canelo's on. I feel like that's what Canelo's gonna do in his next couple of fights. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that he fights. I mean, I hope he fights Benavides. Like Benavides is probably the one I want him to fight. Maybe Charlo. The other one, the one that beat up uh, Lamata. Which, by the way, Lamata in that fight, he was so scared, dude. Like the mental, was not there for Lamata. He was scared of Charlo. He was scared of the stage. That's mainly what it was. He was scared of the big stage. Um, and that's what made him, kind of crumble under pressure. And that's just my opinion. This is what it seemed like. There was a certain point in the fight with Charlo versus Lamata that Lamata hit him with a good shot, and then he got scared. He started running. And it looked like when the little brother hits the big brother, and then the big brother gets mad, and then he's like, "Oh hell no, you're gonna get it now," and then the little brother starts running. Um, this shit's hilarious. But he was supposed to fight Plant, and I think he still wants to fight Plant. Um, but I don't know if that fight's still gonna be made. I think it should be made. Both of these guys really, you know, they're really not doing anything else. Maybe Charlo could fight Canelo, maybe. Um, but the plan was for him to fight Plant. But since Plant lost against Resendiz, um, the funny thing about that is that just like just like Lamada didn't have the mental, right? Plant is the opposite of that. Plant had the mental. Plant has the mental down to a T because he has the mentality of a quote unquote alpha or a dominant male. He'll slap the shit out of you if you get out of line, and everybody knows that. He'll slap the shit out of you just because he just feels like you need a slap. So mentally he's there, but physically Plant is not there. Physically, he lasts about maybe 4 rounds, and that's I'm not being funny. You know, he doesn't have the tank to do what he wants to do for 12 rounds. And I just thought it was kind of funny that we had two fights in that same night that showed somebody with the mental but not the physical, and somebody with the physical but not the mental. Um, but anyways, who knows what's next for Canelo? Maybe he'll fight Charlo. Maybe, you know, maybe he'll fight Eubank, which is another name being tossed around, Eubank Jr. Or maybe he'll do the Benavides. Maybe he'll fight Bivol for undisputed. You know, the possibilities are endless, but I just don't like the shit he says. It gives me bad vibes. Is basically what I'm trying to say.